Good morning and welcome to the site of Unity of Kent's Easter Sunday service. My name is Reverend Patty Becker, and I am joined this morning in order of appearance by three wonderful musicians, uh, Linda Falgren-Moe, Adam Cohen, and Becky Thatcher. And our opening song this morning is Morning Has Broken.
Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rain's new fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where his feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light Eden saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day. Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word.
Thank you, Linda. Well, good morning. Good morning again, and happy Easter. Welcome to Unity of Kent, and welcome not only our regular congregants, but all of you who are visiting this morning. It's nice to have you here with us. Unity of Kent is an open spiritual community inviting people of all races, creeds, colors, lifestyles to come join us in a philosophy that is truly transformative, that we teach a message that is positive and uplifting, one of personal responsibility and also of self-determination. And we hope your experience with us today will be both joyful and enriching. So as we often do on Sunday morning, we begin the service with prayer. So I'd like to do that with you now. Right where you are, hopefully in the comfort of your own living space, I invite you to close your eyes if it is helpful to remove distraction, and to allow yourself to take a few deep breaths to relax your body and calm your mind, and that whatever difficulties may have been part of your morning, to let them go. Whatever joys have been part of your morning, to let them arise again within you. There is one presence and one power in our lives, in the universe, within every situation and circumstance of our life. This one presence and power is called by many names. Often it is called God. It can also be referred to as Great Spirit, life, love, absolute good. However you connect with the ultimate power and presence of your life, just take a few minutes to be in communion with that power now. I am affirming that the presence and power of goodness, of grace and life and light fills your being with all good things, with blessing. And that in this moment we have come together not by accident, but by intention, deliberately, having tuned in to be part of this spiritual experience. And I acknowledge that the blessings of God, blessings of the universe, flow to each one of you in a great current of upliftment. May this service be a source of inspiration and thought. And may your life today, this day, unfold in joy. And so with open hearts and open minds, we embrace our experience together and end with the feeling, the depth of gratitude. And so it is. Amen.
Good morning. So, please join me as you probably all know the words. I do what gives me life. 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 In this moment I am giving. In situations called to me, I now choose this path of living. I now choose what sets me free. I do what gives me life. 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 In this moment I am giving. In situations called to me, I now choose this path of living. I now choose what sets me free. I do what gives me life. 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 I do what gives me life.
And so we move now to our announcements with Lee O'Neill. Lee, are you there?
I'm here.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity of Kent Live. Happy Easter, and everybody is welcome. Let's start with our statement of faith. Say it with me. It's on the screen. There is one power and one presence in the universe and in my life. God, the good, omnipotence. I trust and align with that power of goodness now. So there's a lot right now to be afraid of, and we've been studying the virtues for about 4+ years now. And today our virtue is deliberate. And I live in a retirement home, and we are a vulnerable community right now. But what I see is everybody living their life deliberately. So I'd like to read the virtue for today. A deliberate person is one who thinks carefully and is intentional about what he or she does and says. To be deliberate is to be on purpose, to thoughtfully consider courses of action. Deliberate people are measured and unhurried, calculating and cautious. Actions that are deliberate are premeditated and planned. And the affirmations are, I am deliberate. I think carefully and methodically. I am intentional about my words and actions. I thoughtfully consider the sequences of my actions. Also, one thing we're saying here at the home is that we are not stuck at home, but we are safe at home. So I'm hoping each and every one of you is staying safe and healthy. And I hope that you will join us again next Sunday live on Zoom or on Facebook. Now I'd like to read the daily word. Easter, April 12th. I recognize the risen Christ in family, friends, and my spiritual community. Early in the evening on the day of resurrection, Jesus, unrecognized, joins two of his followers as they journey from Jerusalem toward the nearby village of Emmaus. Accepting an invitation to stay and share a meal, Jesus takes bread, blesses and breaks it, and then gives it to his hosts. In that moment, their eyes are opened. They recognize Jesus and alive in their hearts. He vanishes from their sight. Later, the two explain to others how the risen Christ became a living presence to them in the fellowship of breaking bread. Easter celebrates the risen Christ, an immortal presence freed from all limitation, awaiting discovery in every person and life event.
The camera light came on.
I recognize the risen Christ and shared
Get him on
experience,
the phone.
family, friends, and my spiritual
Where
community.
you click me?
Luke 24:31. Then their eyes were opened and they recognized him, and he vanished from their sight.
Ordinarily, this would be the time in our service where I would be blessing the prayer box, the prayers in our prayer box. And during the daily word, one of our chaplains would have collected the prayer slips to put in that box. Well, that's going to be a little bit hard to do this morning. So let's do it together in spirit. So if you have a prayer intention today, something on your heart, something in your mind for which you would like prayer, let us as a community join our prayer energy together in support of one another, and whatever the need may be that we might have. And so I would ask you just to close your eyes again and to open your heart, knowing that there is only one presence and one power, active in the universe, active in my life, active in your lives, active and vibrant within every situation and circumstance of not only our own lives, but the lives of our loved ones. And we see that whatever troubles one's heart is now resolved, and that together, individually, we step forward in faith and affirm our goodness as well, affirming that the will of God is unfolding in this moment, and that will is for our highest and best in all things. And so we accept that wholeheartedly as our truth. And as we accept it, we can let go of all concern, knowing that in spirit, it is taken care of. I release and let go with gratitude and faith. And so it is. Amen.
So it is. And so it is.
This is sad.
You who dwell in the shelter of the Lord, who abide in the presence for life, say to the Lord, my refuge, my rock in whom I trust, and God will raise you up on eagle's wings. There you are.
is my day. Though trouble falls all around you, near you it will not come. And God will raise you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of dawn, make you shine like the sun, and hold you in the palm of his hands. For unto his angels is given this command, to guard you in all your days. Gently they guide your footsteps, though mountains may bar your way. And God will raise you up on eagle's wings,
Carrie,
bear you
Carrie's
on
calling.
the breath of dawn, make you shine like the sun, and hold you in the palm of his hands, of his hands.
Well, I can't see all of you, but I can see some of you, and it's really refreshing to be able to make contact like this. For every year, for the past 4 years, I've told an Easter joke, and it's the same joke because that's the only one I know. And I've decided that this year that I wouldn't tell that joke. Instead, I'm going to tell you a story. And that story is that on March 24th, I left home in Tacoma with my 2 granddaughters and came to vacation property on Hood Canal, intending to stay for 4 days. And then the governor's issue to stay home and to be quarantined came through. And so here we are, beginning our 3rd week on Hood Canal. And I could not think of anywhere else I would rather be, so I feel like I was given a gift. Now, one of the gifts of being here is that I have had eagle sightings almost every single day. And so when it came time to choose a song before the message, On Eagle's Wings was one of the choices, and it was a no-brainer. I had to go with that. It was crying out, and I answered that call. So at one point last week, I saw 6 eagles on the beach. One of them must have gotten a fish because the others were gathered around trying to have lunch. And every morning between 7:30 and 8:30, there's an eagle that flies by. Now, the deck of this house is set maybe 30 to 50 feet above the beach level. And the eagle is flying by just several feet off of the railing at an angle, at a height that I can almost look down on it. So it's very, very close. And it has been a thrill each day. The eagles have been so present that I looked up eagle medicine and the spiritual symbolism of eagle. And it's quite impressive. Eagles are considered to be sacred messengers. They carry prayers to the Great Spirit and to the Creator. Eagles have very sharp eyesight, and it teaches us that sometimes we need to view our lives from a higher perspective in order to see a bigger picture. Eagles have been linked with courage, and it takes courage to release ourselves from our comfortable, familiar thought patterns and views of life, and to step out into a new sense of of view, a new and larger world. Eagles teach us to do that with courage and with conviction. Eagles also symbolize a state of being that is reached only through inner work, through reflection, through stillness, and through prayer. Also, eagle energy teaches us how to accept what comes our way and to see whatever comes our way as a gift from the universe, if we have the perspective to see it as such. So all of these eagle qualities seem to support the larger living and greater life that is the theme of this talk. That is the theme of resurrection. That is the Easter story. The title of my talk today is An Invitation to Life. So I'd like you to imagine going to your mailbox, and in the mailbox there's an envelope, and it's trimmed in gold, and your name's on it. And so you take that envelope and you open it up, and you take the card out, and it says, "You are invited to life. You are invited to life." What would that invitation stimulate in you? What were the first thoughts that would go through your mind if you looked at that card and said, "You are invited to life"? This morning we heard the song, "I Do What Gives Me Life." And what an invitation that is as well. What would give you more life? And I suppose if we were in church right now in our building, that this would be the time when I'd ask for some shout outs and we would have a mini discussion that we can't now, but I would ask you to hold those in mind and just within yourself, what would you need to let go of in order to have a larger life? What would you need to embrace in order to feel more enlivened? And so just for a few seconds, just connect with those questions. What gives me life? How could I have more life and liveliness in my existence? What would I need to let go of? What would I need to embrace? I don't know if you remember this a number of years ago, probably most of you do, but there was a game that came out and it was called The Game of Life. And it was a board game, and it had little game pieces, and we chose, I think they were in color. I think it's Monopoly that had little figures, little cars and shoes and things like that. And I remember playing Monopoly that I would choose a symbol that sort of represented my personality. Well, in the game of life, what we've done is our spirits have embodied into a personality, and those are our game pieces. Our personalities are, and ourselves, our spirit, our life is what we access as we go through this experience that the universe has handed us. As we played the game of life, the board game, what would be the process is rolling the dice, and then the dice would tell you the number of squares to move your personality or your chess or your game piece along, and then it would take you to a choice point. It would take you to, if not a choice point, an opportunity. And it was up to the player to choose what he or she was going to do with that opportunity. Some situations are not what we planned or even expected in our life. And some of those were part of the game, but also many of those, all of those, are parts of our own living. And even though in playing that game, we may not have expected what we landed on, we were required to make a choice and to take a path. And we did that. We do that in our own lives as well. We come to choice points and we have at that juncture an opportunity to make a choice. Some of our choices have been against our better judgment. Some have been in contrary to our instincts, but we made them anyway. Some of those kinds of choices we made out of necessity. Some of those choices were made out of loyalty to a deep inner value that we hold. We made some of those choices to please someone else. We made some to fulfill a promise. And some were made out of a sense of duty. And oftentimes these choices, though noble at the time and an example along the way, fulfilling a meaning and a purpose, but not joy. Other choices were made not out of necessity or out of loyalty, some of them out of a heart's desire. And those choices oftentimes were made with absolute clarity, following our heart or following a dream. These choices were done with a deep breath, no certainty, but a pocket full of faith. And sometimes, oftentimes, those choices brought a quality of life that we could never have imagined. I've done both in my life. Some of the choices I've made have resulted in deep, beautiful joy. And others, out of necessity, out of obligation, have fulfilled a purpose and a meaning for me, but have not been choices of joy, I would say. Jesus also made choices in his life. He chose to preach a radical message, radical for his time, and he chose to go to Jerusalem. He chose to go to Jerusalem during the Passover. And at that time, Passover in Jerusalem was a very charged situation. The Roman governor called in more troops in order to control crowds that may get out of control. So many people swelled the population of Jerusalem that it was almost 5 times more populated than at regular times. Not only did he choose to go to Jerusalem at a potentially very dangerous time, but he also chose to attract the attention of the Roman authorities. And he did this deliberately. Again, harkening back to our virtue, he did it with intention, and he did it with thought. He also made a choice of not to flee Jerusalem when he was realizing that things were getting tough and that his arrest was impending. He chose to stay. He surrendered in faith to the consequences of his message, and he moved forward, or was moved forward. And as he did so, he was confident and he was still. If you read the Gospels carefully, you'll find that in the middle of Jesus's choice points, he prayed. And at those choice points, in that prayer, he took on the energy of the ego. He went to a higher vision. He went forward with courage. He gathered his strength, and he accessed within himself a point of stillness. We have many choice points in our lives as well. These choices are stepping stones to new experiences of our lives. And the pathways are not always clear, and the pathways are not always easy. Sometimes we have to let go of a treasured point of view or history or a way of being that has always been there for us, that we have to step out and decide to be new. We have to be deliberate. These choice points allow us to be deliberate about our direction. Time to gather clarity, time to move forward. And we do so along the way with faith and with hope. We too, at those points, take on the energy of the ego. And as we move along the pathways of our lives, making choices, we take on ego energy, the energy of a higher perspective, the energy of courage, the energy of vision. The wings of an eagle can carry us to horizons of new life, horizons of expanded life, horizons of joy-filled life. And this to me is nothing less than resurrection. I'm finding myself at this Easter Sunday being challenged by the Easter message. Life is everywhere. I see it coming forth in the woods around me. Some trees are already in full leaf and others are just starting. And yet they're going forward. Every day they open wider and become stronger and are larger. And I think that's the Easter message for us too. That when we proceed according to our spiritual core, what we believe to be true for us, that we open bit by bit larger and greener and more vibrant and more able to hold the kind of life that we always dream for ourselves. And so let's take a moment now and shift into meditation. So I ask you to once again close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. To let the distractions of your mind slow. Let your body relax wherever you're sitting. Going within and being mindful of where you might be holding stress or tension. It might be in your shoulders or in your face, maybe in your breath. And so take a moment now just to say to those places within you, peace, be still. Peace, be still. And allowing your breath to relax you with deliberate intention, breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Becoming more and more open, more and more relaxed. And in this place of relaxation, to allow your heart to open. To be receptive. And as it becomes open, feel trust arise. Placing your heart in the hands of Spirit is both courageous and trustful. And in as much as you're able to do that now. The very idea of resurrection implies newness, implies leaving what is no longer useful and stepping in to an energy that is large and shimmering, radiant with possibility. In our own lives, there are places where resurrection is being called for. And wherever there is a place that is calling for resurrection, there is another voice answering with all the strength and courage, all of the intention and deliberate action to go forward. It is ours to be new. It is ours to step into unlimited possibility. For we are not just game pieces or personalities and bodies. We are unlimited spirit. And our field of activity has no horizons. It is immense and profound. And all of the love and the life, all of the wisdom of the universe is within us at every choice point, urging us to be clear and compassionate. In this resurrection energy, there is a clean slate in us. When we let go of what holds us back, we put on a clean heart. And in that heart, there's clear voices. A clear voice that leads us to where we need to go. We may not be able to see the destination now, but we know intuitively how it feels when we get there. And the helpmate along this path is always love and the still small voice within each one of us. And so it is. Amen.
Clean slate, clean heart, clear voice now starts. Love within and love goes out. Your new day, new heart. Deep love so true, small still voice within you, love within and love goes out. Your new day, new you. Freedom, your freed mind, deep love and peace you'll find. Love within and love goes out. Your new day, new you. Your new day, new you. Your new day, new you.
Thank you, Linda. And so we come to the point of our service in which we bless our love offerings, we give our love offerings. And though we are not in a physical plant or a physical space, having physical contact, there's an act of giving that not only supports our place while we're gone, but also supports our own unfolding spirituality, our own unfolding prosperity. Through the act of giving, we receive. And it is a cycle of abundance. And by stepping into this cycle, we are participating in the universal flow of good. I would like to say that in giving your love offerings, if you go to our website, there are 2 ways that you can do this, with PayPal and also with another one. It's Givealy. I have never been able to pronounce that, but I've tried both of them. I have made my love offering through PayPal as well as the other. It's easy, it works. And so that's how we all can continue to support our community, as well as participate in our own deepening of faith in an abundant universe. So however you choose to share your abundance with the community, please join me in our offertory statement, which is on your screen. Divine love flowing as me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. And so thank you for joining us today. We have our lovely, energetic closing song with Becky. I am the radiant life of God. Yeah.
Happy Easter, everybody. This is a very known song to you. But Patty has asked that we use the words from the prayer for protection during the verses where there's many qualities of God. So the light of love, the love of God, the power of God, the presence of God. I am, I am, I am. So wherever you are, stand and sing with me the wonderful I Am the Radiant Life of God, Georgiana Tree West, 1938. Here we go. Look at it. I am the radiant life of God. I am, I am, I am. I am the radiant life of God. I am, I am, I am. The light of God, the love of God, the power of God, the presence of God. I am the radiant life of God. I am, I am, I am. I am the radiant life of God. I am, I am, I am. I am the radiant life of God. I am, I am, I am. The light of God, the love of God, the power of God, the presence of God. I am the radiant life of God. I am, I am, I am. One more time. The light of God, the love of God, the power of God, the presence of God. I am the radiant life of God. I am, I am, I am.
Okay.
Where the camera goes.
Thank you for joining us today and have a wonderful day. It is sunny and warm. It's my quintessential perfect Sunday, Easter Sunday morning with the bright sunshine. I woke up this morning at 5 o'clock, I think, to a vibrantly beautiful orange and coral sky before the sun came up. And when I saw that, I knew that it was going to be one of those spectacular spring days, and it is. So may you go and enjoy whatever your plans are for today. May you walk in light and love. May you know that your life is precious and perfect, and that before you, every single moment is a choice point, and in that choice point, we can all choose life. All right. Well, take care and see you next week. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
Happy Easter.
Easter.
Happy
Easter.
Dude.
Yeah.
Happy Easter.
Love you
Happy
all.
Easter.
Safe.
Bye-bye.
Next time we sing the peace song
Okay.
together.
Yeah, thank you. so much.
Rhett. Welcome to Easter, Rhett.
Right. What are you doing?
Bye.
I don't know how Bill wants it.
Okay.
So good to see everybody. Happy Easter.
Happy
Thank
Easter.
you.
Be safe.
Easter.
Happy Easter, everybody.
Good to see Dorothy here too.
Okay, great.